Welcome to our channel. Have you ever forgotten where you left your keys, missed an important meeting, or struggled to remember someone's name? Or maybe you walked into a room and completely forgot why you went there, or read something and it just slipped away. These small memory lapses can be really frustrating, sometimes stressful, and honestly, a bit annoying too. That's why this video is perfect for you. We're going to explore memory problems in depth, understand why they happen, and share practical tips and real-life examples that you can start using today. And here's the best part, while learning these memory-boosting techniques, you'll also be improving your English. Vocabulary, grammar, reading, and even thinking in English. So it's like getting two benefits in one, a sharper memory and better English skills. If you're ready to finally take control of your memory and give your brain a real boost, let's dive in. Imagine this. It's a busy morning, and you're getting ready for work or school. You have a million things in your head, appointments, deadlines, tasks, but nothing seems to stick. How do you feel? Stressed? A little frustrated? Maybe even a bit overwhelmed. Now, imagine the opposite. You can easily remember everything, dates, names, ideas, things you studied. Life suddenly feels a lot easier, doesn't it? Think of your memory like a treasure chest in your mind. Every piece of information you learn is like a shiny gem. Sometimes these gems get lost, or scattered, and it's hard to find them when you need them. Our goal in this article is simple. We'll learn how to organize these gems, keep them safe, and find them easily whenever we want. By the end of this guide, you'll learn how to focus your mind better, learn new information faster, and remember anything you want, from simple things like shopping lists to big ideas and important knowledge. Trust me, once you start practicing, you'll notice how much easier life can get when your memory is strong and reliable. The brain is like a muscle. Here's something important. Your memory isn't fixed. It's not something you're just born with or without. Think of your brain like a muscle. Imagine you've never exercised your arms before. If you try to lift a heavy weight, it's tough, right? But if you start small, practice regularly, and challenge your muscles, over time, they get stronger. Your brain works the same way. The more you use it, challenge it, and train it, the stronger your memory gets. Let me give you an example. Say you meet someone new today. You try to remember their name, but it slips your mind. Instead of thinking, I just can't remember names, try this. Repeat their name in your head a few times, make a small connection like, Alex reminds me of my favorite book character, and try to recall it later. That's like a tiny exercise for your brain. Do this regularly, and suddenly remembering names, numbers, or even long instructions becomes easier. Here's a fun way to start training your brain. Pick one small thing to remember every day, like the license plate of a car, a short poem, or a new word in English. Try to recall it later without looking. Celebrate every success, no matter how small. Your brain will love these little workouts. Over time, remembering things won't feel like a struggle, it'll feel natural, like your brain is getting stronger and smarter every day. Focus, the foundation of memory. Alright, friend, let's talk about something super important, focus. Think of focus like a flashlight in a dark room. The brighter your flashlight, the clearer you see things. If your mind is everywhere, checking your phone, thinking about lunch, listening to music, it's like trying to see with a tiny flickering candle. You won't remember much. Here's an example. You're trying to learn a new recipe. You read it while scrolling Instagram at the same time. Later, you try to cook it, but you can't remember the steps. That's because your brain didn't focus on the recipe in the first place. Now, try this. 1. Remove distractions. Put your phone on silent or in another room. 2. Give your full attention. Focus only on the task or information you want to remember. 3. Engage actively. Ask questions in your mind, repeat key points, or take small notes. Even a few minutes of true focus is more powerful than an hour of distracted study. Your brain is designed to remember what you really pay attention to. Tip: try a mini experiment today. Spend 10 minutes fully focused on learning a small thing, like a short poem or a friend's phone number. Later, see how much you can recall. You'll notice the difference immediately. The secret weapon for memory. Here's a truth that might surprise you: sleep is one of the most powerful tools for memory. Your brain doesn't just rest while you sleep. It works hard to organize and store everything you learned during the day. Imagine you spend the whole day learning new things, vocabulary, a recipe, or a work project. If you stay up all night scrolling your phone, your brain doesn't get the chance to file away all that information. The next day, you'll feel like you forgot half of it. But if you sleep well, your memory strengthens naturally. Here's a simple story. Sarah had a big presentation at work. She stayed up all night trying to memorize her slides. When she got to the meeting, she blanked on key points. Then, the next week, she tried something different. She learned her material during the day and slept 8 hours before presenting. Guess what? She remembered everything and spoke confidently. The sleep made all the difference. Tips for better memory through sleep. 1. Try to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. 2. Avoid screens right before bed. They trick your brain and make it harder to rest. 3. Keep a consistent sleep schedule. Going to bed and waking up at the same time helps your brain remember better. Remember, friend, no matter how many memory tricks you learn, if you don't sleep, your brain won't perform at its best. Treat sleep like a secret weapon. It's free, and it works wonders. Nutrition and the brain, food for thought. Did you know that what you eat can actually affect how well you remember things? Your brain needs fuel, just like a car. If you put bad fuel in, it won't run smoothly. If you put good fuel in, it can perform at its best. For example, imagine trying to study on an empty stomach or after eating a bunch of junk food. Your brain feels sluggish, you get distracted easily, and remembering new information becomes harder. On the other hand, foods rich in healthy fats, antioxidants, and protein, like salmon, blueberries, nuts, or eggs, can sharpen your memory and keep your brain alert. Here's a simple daily trick. Start your day with something brain-friendly, like oatmeal with berries or eggs with avocado. Keep healthy snacks around, like almonds or a piece of fruit, so your brain always has some fuel. Stay hydrated. Even mild dehydration can make it hard to focus and remember things. Small changes in what you eat can have a big effect on memory over time. Think of it as giving your brain the right tools to store and recall information efficiently. Using your senses to remember better. One of the coolest tricks to improve memory is to use all your senses. Your brain remembers things better when more senses are involved. Think about it. You probably remember the smell of your favorite bakery or the sound of a childhood song more easily than a random fact from a textbook. You're trying to remember a list of grocery items. Just reading the list might not be enough. But if you visualize each item in your mind, imagine its smell, texture, or even taste, it becomes much easier to recall. Picture a ripe strawberry, its red color, its juicy smell, even the little seeds on top. Your brain creates a full sensory memory, making it almost impossible to forget. A simple way to practice this daily. 1. When learning something new, see it, say it out loud, and if possible, touch or interact with it. 2. For abstract ideas, try to create a vivid mental picture or a little story that involves senses. 3. Review it later by re-experiencing those senses in your mind. Using multiple senses is like giving your memory multiple paths to reach the same information. If one path fades, another is still there to help you recall. Smart repetition, how to remember without overloading. Repetition is key to memory, but there's a smart way to do it. Just reading or reviewing something over and over in one sitting can be overwhelming, and your brain may even start ignoring it. The trick is spaced repetition, reviewing information at increasing intervals over time. For example, imagine you're learning 10 new English words. Instead of reading them 10 times in a row, try this. 1. Review them today. 2. Review them again tomorrow. 3. Review them 3 days later. 4. Review them a week later. This way, your brain strengthens the memory gradually, like exercising a muscle instead of trying to lift a super heavy weight all at once. Another tip, make it active. Don't just read, quiz yourself, write the information down, or teach it to someone else. The more your brain works to recall it, the stronger the memory becomes. Small example in daily life. You meet someone new. Repeat their name in conversation today, think of it tomorrow, and recall it again in a few days. That name will stick in your memory much longer than if you only say it once. Spaced repetition might feel like extra work at first, but over time, it makes remembering new information almost effortless. Connecting new information to what you already know. One of the easiest ways to remember something new is to link it to something you already know. Your brain loves connections. The more links you make, the easier it is to recall information later. You're learning about the planet Mars. Instead of just memorizing facts, try connecting it to something familiar. Maybe you remember a red sports car you like. Imagine Mars is that car floating in space. Or maybe Mars reminds you of a movie you watched last week. The brain creates a mental bridge from what you already know to the new information, making it much easier to recall. Another example. You meet a new coworker named Lily. Instead of just repeating her name, connect it to something familiar, like a friend, a famous person, or even a flower. Later, when you see Lily, the brain uses that connection to help you remember her name effortlessly. Tips to practice this. 1. Whenever you learn something new, pause and ask yourself, what does this remind me of? 2. Create mini stories or analogies that link new info to your experiences. 3. Review those connections in your mind periodically to strengthen them. Connecting new knowledge to what you already know turns your memory into a web, instead of isolated dots. The more connections, the easier it is to remember anything you want. One of the most powerful tools for memory is visualization. Your brain loves images, and it remembers pictures much better than words alone. If you can turn information into a vivid mental image, it's much easier to recall later. For example, imagine you need to remember a shopping list: apples, bread, milk, and eggs. Instead of just repeating the words, create a little scene in your mind. Picture a giant apple bouncing on top of a loaf of bread. The milk spills out and forms a small river. Eggs are floating like little boats. It might sound silly, but your brain loves silly, exaggerated images. The more unusual or funny the image, the easier it is to remember. If you're trying to remember someone's name, visualize their face and link it to something that sounds similar or stands out. For instance, someone named Rose, imagine a rose flower growing on their shoulder. Tips for practicing visualization. 1. Turn lists, names, or facts into mini-movies in your head. 2. Include colors, movements, and emotions. The more senses, the better. 3. Review the mental images later to strengthen the memory. Visualization works because it creates a strong, memorable snapshot in your brain. Even if you forget some details, the image often brings the memory back instantly. One of the coolest ways to remember anything is to turn it into a story. Our brains are wired to remember stories much better than random facts. Stories create a sequence and emotional connection that makes recall easy. Imagine you need to remember a list of words: dog, mountain, pencil, coffee. Instead of memorizing them separately, make a tiny story. A dog climbed a mountain carrying a giant pencil, and at the top, it found a cup of coffee waiting. Now, try to recall the list. You probably remember all 4 items just by remembering the story. The brain loves connections, emotions, and imagination, all of which stories provide. Another example in daily life. If you're learning history, don't just memorize dates and events. Turn it into a short story. In 1492, Columbus sailed across the ocean blue, facing storms and adventures to reach a new land. Now it's easier to recall the year and the event. Tips to practice storytelling for memory. 1. Whenever you need to remember a list or information, make up a little story with all the elements. 2. Include characters, actions, and emotions. The sillier, the better. 3. Visualize the story in your mind like a tiny movie. Turning information into stories makes learning fun and unforgettable. Once you practice this a few times, you'll find it works for almost anything: names, dates, tasks, or even concepts. Sometimes, trying to remember a lot of information at once feels impossible. That's where chunking comes in. Chunking means breaking big information into smaller, easier to manage pieces. Imagine you need to remember a phone number, 41586733092. If you try to remember all 10 digits at once, it's tough. But if you break it into chunks like 41586733092, it becomes much easier. Your brain can handle small pieces better than one long string. If you're learning a long list of vocabulary words, group them by category: colors, food, animals. Instead of 20 random words, now you have 4 to 5 smaller groups, and each group is easier to memorize. Tips for chunking. 1. Look for natural patterns in the information. 2. Group related items together. 3. Review each chunk separately, then combine them later. Chunking works because your brain loves organization. Breaking things into smaller parts makes them more manageable and memorable, almost like putting files into labeled folders. Let's take a quick look at how memory actually works. Your brain has 2 main storages: short-term and long-term memory. Short-term memory is like a sticky note. You jot something down quickly, but it might fade within seconds or minutes if you don't do anything with it. Long-term memory is more like a filing cabinet. Once information is stored here, you can access it later, even years from now. You meet someone at a party, and their name is Jake. If you just hear it once, it might stay in your short-term memory, and vanish by the time you leave. But if you repeat it, connect it to something familiar, or use it in conversation, it moves to long-term memory. Now you'll remember Jake for months. A few practical ways to make memories stick. 1. Repeat and recall. Review new info a few times over the day. 2. Teach someone else. Explaining it forces your brain to process it deeply. 3. Use multiple senses. See it, say it, maybe even write it down. The secret is simple: don't just look at information, interact with it. The more ways your brain engages, the more likely it is to lock the memory in for the long haul. Music and rhythm make memories melodic. Here's a fun fact: your brain loves rhythm and music. Pairing information with a tune or a beat can make it much easier to remember. Think about how you remember the alphabet song from childhood. You didn't memorize the letters one by one, you sang them. Let's say you're trying to memorize the planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Instead of just repeating them, make up a small rhyme or sing them to a simple tune. Suddenly, recalling the order becomes effortless. Even short rhythms work. Break information into beats. For example, numbers like 3-7-1-9 could become a quick tap 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 pattern in your mind. Create mini songs for things you need to remember, like grocery lists or vocabulary words. Why it works: music activates multiple areas of your brain at once: auditory, emotional, and memory centers, so the information gets stored more deeply and recalled more easily. Try it today. Pick one list or concept you need to remember and put it to a little tune. You'll be surprised how sticky it becomes. Memory Palace, your brain's personal filing room. One of the most powerful memory tricks ever invented is the Memory Palace. Imagine your brain as a huge house with many rooms. Each room can hold information, and you can walk through it whenever you need to recall something. Here's how it works. 1. Pick a familiar place: your home, school, or even your favorite park. 2. Assign information to specific locations. For example, imagine putting a grocery item in each room: milk on the couch, bread on the table, eggs in the bathtub. 3. Visualize walking through the place. When you want to remember, mentally walk through your palace and see each item where you placed it. Let's say you need to remember a to-do list. Laundry in your bedroom: imagine clothes piling on your bed. Call a friend in the kitchen: imagine your phone sizzling like a pan. Finish a report in the living room: papers flying around the sofa. The more vivid and unusual the images, the easier they stick. Your brain loves spatial and visual cues. They create strong mental pathways to retrieve memories effortlessly. Memory palaces might sound complicated, but once you try it a few times, it becomes a natural and fun way to remember anything, from lists and facts to speeches and presentations. Sometimes, you don't need to memorize every single detail. Just a keyword or trigger can bring the whole memory back. Think of it like a shortcut in your brain. You're learning about the process of photosynthesis in plants. Instead of memorizing the entire paragraph, focus on keywords: sunlight, water, chlorophyll, energy. Later, when someone asks, just recalling sunlight might trigger the rest of the steps in your mind. Another example in daily life. You meet someone new named Olivia. You might forget her full bio, but remembering the keyword Olivia, violin, maybe she plays violin, helps you recall details about her personality, hobbies, and conversation. Tips to practice keywords and triggers. 1. Pick the most important word or idea in what you're learning. 2. Create a mental image or connection for that word. 3. Use it as a hook to pull up the rest of the information. This technique works best when combined with other methods we've learned, like visualization or storytelling. With a few powerful keywords, your brain can access information almost instantly, saving you time and effort. Did you know that funny or emotional experiences are much easier to remember? Your brain responds strongly to feelings, and when you attach emotion, whether it's laughter, surprise, or excitement, to information, it sticks much better. Imagine trying to memorize the word elephant in a foreign language. Instead of just repeating it, picture a huge elephant wearing a tiny hat and dancing in your living room. Silly? Yes. Memorable? Absolutely. Another example. You're learning a historical fact, the Boston Tea Party. Instead of rote memorization, imagine angry colonists dumping tea into the harbor while dramatic music plays. The humor and action make it unforgettable. Tips to add humor and emotion. 1. Exaggerate or dramatize information in your mind. 2. Use personal experiences or funny associations. 3. Combine humor with visualization or stories for maximum effect. Your brain loves novelty and feelings. The more playful or emotional the memory, the harder it fades. So don't be afraid to get creative. It's one of the easiest ways to remember things naturally. Taking notes isn't just about writing everything down. How you take notes can make a huge difference in how well you remember information. Creative, visual, and organized notes help your brain retain ideas more effectively. Example. Instead of writing a plain list. Apples. Bananas. Milk. Try drawing tiny icons next to each item, a red apple, a yellow banana, and a milk carton. Add colors, arrows, or even little doodles that connect ideas. Suddenly, your notes become more like a story or a visual map rather than boring text. Another approach is mind mapping. Start with a central idea in the middle of the page. Branch out with related subtopics. Use colors, lines, and images to link concepts together. Why it works. Your brain remembers images, patterns, and associations better than plain words. Notes that are visually rich or creatively structured act like a memory shortcut, making it easier to recall information later. Tip: even small changes in how you take notes, adding colors, sketches, or highlights, can make a big difference over time. Treat your notes like mini memory maps instead of boring text lists. One of the simplest but most effective ways to remember something is to ask yourself questions. When you actively try to recall information instead of passively reading it, your brain works harder, and the memory gets stronger. You're learning about the water cycle. Instead of just reading, water evaporates, condenses, and falls as rain. Ask yourself, what happens first in the water cycle? Where does the water go after it evaporates? How does rain form? Try answering these questions without looking at your notes. If you get stuck, peek and then try again. The effort of retrieving the information helps your brain lock it in much better than just rereading. Another everyday example. If you're learning a new phone number or a set of directions, quiz yourself repeatedly. Ask, what's the first street? What's the next turn? Your brain will start recalling the info automatically. Tips for practicing Q&A. 1. Turn any information into a set of small questions. 2. Test yourself repeatedly over a few days. 3. Mix it up, don't just memorize in the same order every time. By making your brain work for the answers, you create stronger, more reliable memories that last longer. Just like your muscles, your memory improves with regular exercise. The good news? You don't need hours of training. Small daily exercises can make a big difference. Try remembering the license plates of cars you see while walking or driving. Memorize a short poem or song verse each day. Recall the grocery list or errands without looking at your phone. Before going to sleep, mentally review your day. Think about the names of people you met, places you went, and things you did. This simple reflection strengthens memory by connecting events and details. Tips for daily practice. 1. Pick one small memory exercise each day. 2. Keep it fun and short, 5 to 10 minutes is enough. 3. Gradually increase difficulty as your memory improves. Even just a few minutes of daily memory training helps your brain stay sharp and flexible, making it easier to remember important information in real life. Let's be honest, remembering things is a lot harder when your attention is scattered. Phones buzzing, notifications popping up, background noise, it all splits your focus and makes your brain work overtime just to keep up. Think of your brain like a desk. If the desk is messy, it's hard to find your pen or notebook. If it's clean and organized, everything is within reach. Your mind works the same way. Here's a simple approach. 1. Turn off notifications on your phone or computer while learning. 2. Find a quiet spot where you can concentrate. 3. Set short focus sessions. Even 20 to 30 minutes of full attention can be more effective than hours of distracted work. You're studying for an exam while the TV is on and your phone keeps buzzing. Chances are, you'll remember very little. But if you silence everything and focus for just half an hour, your recall improves dramatically. Bonus tip: take mini breaks. After focusing intensely, step away for a few minutes. Your brain will process and store the information more efficiently during these breaks. By clearing distractions, you're basically giving your memory a direct path to work without obstacles. Want a fun way to boost your memory? Play games that challenge your brain. Puzzles, crosswords, Sudoku, and memory games aren't just for fun, they train your brain to focus, analyze, and remember patterns. Try a simple memory game: look at a tray of 10 objects for 30 seconds, then cover it and try to recall everything. At first, you might only remember 5 or 6 items. Keep practicing, and soon you'll recall all 10 with ease. Another idea: solve a jigsaw puzzle, paying attention to shapes and colors. Play word association games. Link a word to another in a funny or memorable way. Try apps or websites that are specifically designed for brain training. Why it works: these activities strengthen neural connections and improve focus, which makes remembering real-life information much easier. Tip: even 5 to 10 minutes a day of these exercises keeps your memory active and sharp. Treat it like a warm-up for your brain before tackling bigger tasks. A lot of times, we forget things because we don't pay enough attention in the first place. Your brain can't remember what it didn't notice. That's where mindful observation comes in. Take a walk outside and try this exercise. Notice 5 things you've never paid attention to before: a unique tree shape, a bird sound, a colorful flower. Later, try to recall them. The act of noticing makes the memory much stronger. Another everyday example. When meeting someone new, really look at their face, their hairstyle, or a unique accessory. People often forget names not because they can't remember, but because they weren't paying full attention. Tips to practice mindful observation. 1. Slow down and really focus on what's around you. 2. Ask yourself, what's unique about this, or what stands out? 3. Repeat the observation in your mind a few times. By noticing details actively, your brain creates richer, more vivid memories that are much easier to recall later. One of the reasons you remember some moments so clearly is emotion. Happy, sad, exciting, or surprising experiences are often unforgettable. You can use this to your advantage when trying to remember information. If you're learning a fact or concept, try to associate it with an emotion. Say you need to remember a historical date. Imagine yourself experiencing the event, feeling the excitement, fear, or tension. That emotional connection makes the memory stronger. Another everyday trick. When learning someone's name, attach it to a pleasant feeling or funny association. Maybe they made you laugh or reminded you of a happy moment. Later, recalling the emotion often triggers the memory effortlessly. Tips for using emotions in memory. 1. Visualize how the information makes you feel. 2. Connect facts to personal stories or experiences. 3. Don't be afraid to exaggerate or dramatize in your mind, it helps the memory stick. The brain naturally prioritizes emotional experiences. By linking learning to emotion, you make your memories vivid, strong, and lasting. Here's a technique that works wonders: active recall. Instead of just reading or reviewing information, actively pull it out of your memory. This strengthens the neural pathways and makes recall much easier later. You're learning new vocabulary words. Instead of reading the list multiple times, cover the words and try to recall them from memory. Then check yourself. Each time you successfully recall a word, your memory gets stronger. Another example. If you're studying for an exam, try writing a summary from memory instead of looking at your notes. You might make mistakes at first, but correcting them is exactly what helps your brain learn. Tips for active recall. 1. Quiz yourself without looking at the answers first. 2. Space your testing, don't cram everything at once. 3. Mix up questions and topics to challenge your brain. Active recall might feel harder than passive review, but that's the point. The more your brain struggles to remember, the stronger the memory becomes. Thank you so much for sticking with me until the very end of this article. By now, you've learned 25 powerful techniques to improve your memory, from focus and sleep to visualization, storytelling, active recall, and so much more. These tips aren't just for studying or work. They can help you remember names, tasks, daily details, important events, and even fun facts in your everyday life. And the best part? While practicing these memory techniques, you've also been strengthening your English skills. Reading, listening, and thinking in English while learning makes your brain work in two ways at the same time, boosting both memory and language skills. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more tips, stories, and learning strategies. And share it with your friends so they can benefit too. The more you practice these techniques, the sharper your memory and mind will become. Remember, every small step counts. Keep practicing, keep learning, and watch your memory grow stronger every day. See you in the next video.